Hi, I'm Alex.
And I'm Nathan.
And this is Camp TV. Reporter Molly has a very exciting interview with City of Ann Arbor Environmental Coordinator Matt Naud. Watch what we learned about the City of Ann Arbor's environmental strategies.
Hi lovely people, I'm your host Molly, here today on Camp TV with Mr. Matt Naud. And he is an environmental coordinator for the City of Ann Arbor. So, what is your job as an environmental coordinator?
No, thanks Molly, thanks for having me. So I work with a lot of different people at the city, and my kind of main job is I work on some of the climate change work that we do, both reducing energy efficiency and renewable energy, but also climate adaptation, because the climate's changed, and how's the city going to respond to that. I also work on contaminated sites. So there's a big contaminated site on the west side of town called the Gelman site, and work with the state to make sure that's as cleaned up as possible. And then something called brownfield redevelopment. So when people rebuild a building in the city of Ann Arbor, if it's contaminated, we want to work with them to make sure it's cleaned up before they build on it. So those are a few of the things that I work on.
Cool. So, what do your daily job duties look like? Where do you go, and what people do you meet?
Sure. So I work at City Hall, which is right downtown on Huron and 5th Street. And mostly I'm in a group with our energy person, Nate Geisler, and our solid waste, compost, and recycling person, Christina Gomes. But then depending on what's going on, I may be meeting with our emergency manager, who you're going to interview later today, Rick Norman. I could be meeting with our finance staff, trying to figure out how we can pay for some of the projects we're working on. I also have two people that work with us. They're our new community sustainability analysts. And so we're working on programs for how do we help local businesses and homeowners and renters on how to make the places they live and work more energy efficient, and can they buy more solar energy or other renewable energy like wind rather than energy that's made by coal.
That's cool. So, what is the best part about your job?
The best part about my job? You mean besides being interviewed by you today?
Oh, thank you.
No,
but
I
yes.
mean, Ann Arbor is a great city, and we're a city that tries to do as much as we can to be super efficient about how we do things, but also kind of be a leader in how cities provide city services. So way before you were born, in the late 1970s, Ann Arbor was one of the first cities to pick up recycling in front of people's houses. It really didn't happen. It still doesn't happen in a bunch of cities. So we've been doing that for a long, long time. We also have a new program. Do you have a compost cart at your house? So now we can take food waste. So like if you have a turkey dinner at Thanksgiving and you've got the leftover bones, you can actually put that in the compost cart. So that's stuff that doesn't go to a landfill, and we can send it to our big compost facility, and they make basically new dirt out of it that then comes back and gets on people's gardens. And so it kind of takes everything and brings it back full circle.
Yeah, my dad, he takes some of our compost and puts it in our 3 gardens. So, but that's really cool. Yeah.
So we have a 26-acre compost site. It's giant.
Wow. That's a lot. So what does sustainability mean to you?
Sustainability, great question. So the way I think about it is, for a long time, people thought about, we need to save the planet. So we need to think about the environment and keeping the water clean and the air clean and things like that. And I think sustainability is looking at it through the environment lens, but also 2 other lenses are the way I think about it. economy. So can you make sure the environment stays clean and get people new jobs, or make sure that there's an efficient way to do it? And then equity. So equity, the way I think about that is, in a lot of cases, people, they thought about keeping the environment clean, but they didn't think about where the poor people lived. And so in some cities, industries that contaminate the air and the water were put in certain parts of town where the rich people aren't exposed to the bad air or the bad water, but the poor people are. And so I think sustainability tries to take a look and say, we want to do all the things we want to do, but we want to make sure the environment is clean, that we have a good economy, that we make sure all the right people pay for this. And the equity piece is, we want to make sure that we're taking care of poor people, vulnerable people in the community, and there's not an extra burden put on them.
Yeah. So what is the City of Ann Arbor Sustainability Service, not like their offices, or like, is there a certain group of people?
Sure. So we're actually talking about we have a new city administrator, and he's talking about creating a new office of sustainability and innovation. And that would be me, the environmental person, and our energy person, and our 2 new community sustainability people. And the idea we would together as a group focus on furthering our climate plan. So that's a lot of how do I help businesses and residents, your family, how do we make it easier for you to make your house more efficient? Get insulation, air sealing, and then also working on, there's a brand new neighborhood grant program so that members of the community could get together and say, we would like to make this park better. Could we have a small amount of money that would help do this or that? We haven't quite figured it out yet, but that's another service we're going to be doing. And so, but I think the big things we're going to be working on in the near future are energy efficiency and renewable energy. So we have an old landfill on the south side of town that doesn't take trash anymore. It's all covered and capped, and you can hardly tell. But we think we might want to cover that with solar panels, because we're never going to build on it. So what could we do with that land that would give us some extra benefit?
Yeah, without hurting
the environment?
Yeah.
And it is actually one of the things we're working on, because it turns out that big open space ends up being a great place for bobolinks. You'll have to look those up, but they're a bird that migrates through Michigan. They like to breed on grassland, and the top of the landfill is lots of grass. And so we're concerned that if we put solar there, it might not be a good place for them to make their nests. So we're trying to see whether there's some other farmland nearby that we could turn in from corn to hay, more like grass, and the bobolinks would nest there.
Awesome. So where can people go to learn about the Ann Arbor sustainability? Are there like volunteer programs?
Sure. So our website is the best place to start. And I have gifts for everybody to remind you about our website. So I will give these to everyone else when you get here, but see, it's a2energy.org. So here's your pair.
Thank you.
And these are sustainable socks. And I say that because it's all organic cotton made in Nicaragua.
Whoa.
And then it's brought here and actually knitted in the United States. So there's the economy part. It's jobs for folks in the U.S. And it's a woman-owned business based in Ypsilanti, so it's buying local. And so we've created those so people remember when their toes are toasty warm and cozy that they should think about energy and energy efficiency. So you'll all get a pair before we go. So
Thank you. That's so cool. Thank
you're
you
welcome.
so much. All right. So in general, what is the best thing, your favorite thing about the Earth?
The Earth. One of my I really like being in the Great Lakes, and so there's 2 things. I grew up sailing, and I've sailed the Mackinac race, which is along Lake Huron, And so being in the middle of Lake Huron in the middle of the night and seeing all those stars with no other lights around is pretty spectacular. And then we vacation up in the Upper Peninsula, way up in the Keweenaw, as far as you can go in Lake Superior. And it's just beautiful.
Yeah. So, well, my favorite thing about the Earth is how it rotates once a day. It really makes my day. So, if you could do one thing, one single thing to prevent pollution anywhere in the U.S., what would it be?
Oh, quit using coal. We would just have more and more renewable energy from solar and wind. And those, it just makes so much more sense now.
Yeah, like there's so many options besides that.
And they've become cheaper than building coal plants. So
Yeah.
I think getting out of the coal business as fast as we can, and then moving to electrifying vehicles and probably getting out of the natural gas business too. So we're going to have to kind of change the way we heat our homes. But if we have lots of solar and wind, that'll be easy to do.
Yeah. So what advice would you give to students and their parents about sustainability?
Well, you know, the good news is we're in Ann Arbor and we're a very educated community, so we have a lot of people who know a lot about this, and I think they're doing it in a lot of ways. I think we don't have a newspaper anymore, you know, a print newspaper that shows up at the door, and so I think it's harder for people to know what's going on at the city. So I think we need to figure out how to use our webpage better, how to, you know, how do you want to learn more about sustainability? And we've got an environmental commission that's a group of citizens that meet every month, and they make recommendations to city council. Those are public meetings that anyone is welcome to go to. You should never be afraid to come to a public meeting, and we always have time at the beginning, and we always have time at the end, where you get 3 minutes to say whatever you would like to share with that group about, this is what I care about, this I want to make sure you know about that, I don't think you're doing enough in X, Y, and Z. And unless we hear from people like you, we don't know how to best provide you with the services you want. So I would say make sure you make time to be engaged with your local government.
It's really great. So do you have anything else?
No, I have had a really enjoyable time here.
Awesome. Well, I'm out of questions and out of time, so thank you for watching. That was Camp TV with your host Molly and Mr. Matt Naud.
Thanks, Molly. I really appreciate you having me, and thanks to all the crew that worked on this today.
Thank you. Bye.
Great interview, Molly. You did awesome job. Coming up next, reporter Layla will be sitting down with Rick Norman from the City of Ann Arbor's Emergency Operations. Let's take a look at what she learned.
Hi everybody, I'm Layla Dury with Camp TV, and today I'm interviewing Rick Norman, the Emergency Operations Manager. So, what is the Office of Emergency Management?
So the Office of Emergency Management puts plans in place for large-scale emergencies or disasters that could happen in the city.
What is your job role within the office?
So I have to write plans, I manage grants, I train other people in what's called Emergency Operations Center activities, and do drills and do exercises for certain groups in the city, so they'll be practiced and ready for anything that could happen.
What is the best part about your job?
What I enjoy the most is the training part. I like to train people and also to work with volunteers.
Why is it important that the Office of Emergency Management exists?
Well, somebody has to be ready to coordinate all the other emergency services in the city if like a big tornado were to happen or something like that. So It's important that there's somebody that has all those plans and knows how to manage all that.
What types of programs does the Office of Emergency Management offer?
Well, program-wise, anything specific would be volunteer training, which we can talk about later, but also training and various trainings that are offered in the area for the kind of stuff that we do in terms of large-scale events, and I try to make sure everybody is aware of that.
Why is it important that people support the Office of Emergency Management?
It needs to be supported because even though large-scale events don't happen a lot, like tornadoes and so forth, but if they do happen, then the planning and the equipment and the training and the people that work for the police, the fire, ambulance services, and everything else need to be ready to operate and deal with that event.
What can people do to support the Office of Emergency Management?
To support, really what we do the best is to be prepared for yourself and your family so that you have a level of preparedness, and if something does happen, at least emergency services don't have to concentrate on you because you've got some stuff. And what that means is you may have a severe weather plan. You might have a disaster supply kit in your house that you can pick up and take with you if you have to leave your house suddenly. And you should also have something called a NOAA weather radio, which the Weather Service will send out all the alerts that they have for Washtenaw County. And also be aware of what the Office of Emergency offers in terms of notification, like Code Red, how our siren system works, and stuff like that.
What volunteer opportunities does the office provide?
So we manage a program called CERT, which is Community Emergency Response Team, and that's training for volunteers to be able to respond to disasters and have a higher level of training in emergencies. And that team now is managed within the city, and there's over 40 members, and they help first responders in what they do, and they also work special events in the city for practice and training.
Where can people go to learn more about the Office of Emergency Management?
So go to the city website, look under Emergency Operations, and there will be a section which will also Emergency Management, and that will also give you links to other things to look for.
What advice would you give to students?
I would suggest that students be prepared and aware of their surroundings. So if you're walking around and if you see something that's suspicious or doesn't look right, then you should be aware of that and know how to report that to somebody if you see it.
Is there anything else you would like to mention?
No, I appreciate being here. It was great.
Well, that concludes this episode of Camp TV. Rick, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
And have an awesome day.
Thanks for all of the insight on the City of Ann Arbor's emergency operations, Layla. Up next, we have reporter Rintaro interviewing Maura Thomson, the communication manager for the Downtown Development Authority. Take a look at what we learned.
Hello, you're watching the Camp TV. My name is Rintaro Tsuchida, and today we have a guest called Maura Thomson. She work at communication manager at the Downtown Development Authority. So, what is the Downtown Development Authority?
So the Downtown Development Authority is a branch of the Ann Arbor City government, and we are dedicated to making improvements in our downtown to help strengthen the downtown neighborhoods.
Okay. What service does the DDA offer?
Well, I think what most people would probably be familiar with when they think of the DDA is parking. So we run the public parking system downtown for the city of Ann Arbor. So all of the big structures that you see, the surface parking lots, those meters, we manage those.
Okay.
But another big piece of what we do is we take on streetscape redesign projects. And right now we are undergoing an initiative we call People-Friendly Streets. So we have about 4 or 5 different projects in the works where we are working to improve pedestrian safety and comfort downtown. So things like bike lanes, fixing crosswalks so people can cross safely. And with the bike lanes, we are looking at protected bike lanes so people of all different biking abilities feel good about biking downtown.
Okay. What are the job duties of a communication manager for the DDA?
So my job duties are to try to make sure that the public knows what's going on downtown as far as maybe policy changes, if there were parking changes, if we have construction projects and we need input on those, we try to engage with the public. But this is a new job. The position started in January, so I'm kind of figuring it out as I go along.
Okay. What is the best part about your job?
I would say the best part of my job is I get to work with a small group of people who are really dedicated to doing what they can to strengthen the downtown. And I get to work downtown, which is really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great place to be.
How can people get involved with the DDA?
Well, they can come to any of our meetings. All of our meetings are public, so we have board meetings and committee meetings, and those are all open to anybody who's interested. So if you want to learn more, you can show up at a meeting.
Oh, that's cool. How does the DDA offer any volunteer opportunities?
Well, our board, we have a board of directors, and they are all volunteer, but we don't have any real like day-to-day volunteer opportunities. However, if there are students or anybody who has an idea and is interested, you know, we'd welcome the opportunity to talk about it.
Okay, thank you. Why is it important that people support the DDA?
Well, I think I look at our downtown as belonging to the whole community. It's kind of our community gathering spot. It's where we have a lot of events. It's where everybody is welcome. It's kind of like everybody's backyard. And our organization is charged with making sure that that stays a vital and healthy area. So I think it's important for people to understand what the DDA does and hopefully in turn support what we do.
Okay. Why should people visit downtown of Ann Arbor?
Oh boy, so many reasons. You know, depending on what you want to do, there's always something going on. There are lots of free things to do in downtown Ann Arbor, which I think is important. We've got our great library, we have a museum, we have ferry doors. There's all sorts of activity going on. And of course, if you want to eat or shop, you know, there's plenty of choices. And it's also great people watching. So even if you're bored, have nothing to do, come on downtown, sit on a planter bed on Main Street and watch the people go by.
Yeah. Okay, what is your favorite place to visit downtown?
That depends on the time of year. So I would say I'll go to the summer, and I'll be very specific. On Thursday afternoons in the summer at 12 o'clock at Liberty Park Plaza, the Bank of Ann Arbor does a free concert series called Sonic Lunch. So that is my all-time favorite place to be in the summer, would be at 12 o'clock on a Thursday, sitting in Liberty Park Plaza, enjoying some music.
Oh. Okay, where can people go to learn more about the DDA?
You can go to our website, a2dda.org, and on that website you'll find information about all the different projects that we're doing, meetings that we're having. You'll also find my contact on there, so if somebody wants to know more, I'm always happy to meet with people.
Okay. What advice would you give to a student when they are downtown?
My advice would be to explore all of the downtown neighborhoods. You know, we have 4 neighborhoods downtown and it's all walkable. So my advice would be, if there's one particular place you usually go, explore the rest. Explore all of downtown.
Yeah. Is there anything else would you like to mention?
Just that I appreciate this opportunity to talk with you today, and I hope to see you downtown.
Thank you. So that's it for today. It was Camp TV. So thank you, Maura Thomson, for coming here.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Awesome job, Rintaro. That's all the time we have. We have on Cam TV. To view more programs like this, visit a2gov.org/CTN. Thanks for watching. I'm your host, Nathan.
And I'm Alex, signing out.
All right.